Hello and welcome to coverage of the Players' Championship here from Seattle, Washington. My name is Marshall Sutcliffe. I am joined in the booth by Rashad Miller.
Keeping it real.
Apparently keeping it real. We are going to be seeing a feature match here, M13 draft. Alexander Hayne of Team Canada. We get a look at him here, and he's going to be playing against PVDDR. Paulo, Vitor, Damo, Rosa.
The man of many names.
Yeah, he's got a lot of names, and we're going to get a chance to see them battle here. And it looks like they're just already going here. A turn two welcome turn, really aggressive creature. Now, ooh, is that a missed land drop for Alexander Hayne?
It might be. Now these two players are not in the pod that we actually saw draft. Is that correct?
So this is going to be something different, I believe.
Right, because we actually did see a lot of welcome turns go around in that draft pod, and you know, it looks like they would have found a home.
Actually, they might have actually been there. I think they were in that pod.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Alex was 4-2.
Yes.
So he had to be in the top pod.
Yeah, so we were actually watching the top pod, so that's probably a very late welcome turn. But it looks like...
we are seeing Alexander Hayne just fall behind further and further and further after having missed these land drops. He's got 2 divinations in hand. He can dig his way out, and we see PV following up. He doesn't want to trade his Furnace Whelp off, so he's not going to attack. He's going to follow up with a Crimson Muckwader. It also has active regeneration activation available, but that's not too relevant versus blue-white, and another missed land drop for Alexander Hayne.
Yeah, you never want to be in a situation where you have to leave your welcome turns back to block anything, because really, they don't have a lot of blocking options.
Right.
And
PV attacks for 5, passes a turn back.
I mean, this isn't really looking good. I don't see how even a land drop right now, or even the turn before, can get Alexander Hayne back into this game.
This is actually an interesting test for Alex. If he can't pull his way out of this, you know, this can be frustrating, right? You know, he's got a bunch of good cards in hand.
Discard.
Yeah, I mean,
he moves to discard. He pitches a divination. You know, things are not looking good, and he's going to have to, you know, stay focused and stay concentrated if he isn't able to pull out of this.
Yeah, but even, okay, so Alexander Hayne gets the 3rd card, but even the cards that are available for Alexander Hayne get outclassed by what
I mean, do they? Well, looks like Paulo's drawn a ton of lands here, and all of a sudden there's an Attended Knight on the ground. That can block the Crimson Muckwader profitably.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he can trade off a token for a token and still be alive. Now, there's a Knight of Infamy for Paulo, and that's going to change the attacks drastically here, because all of a sudden it's going to force a chump block.
You know what? And now, any one of these creatures, if their attacks alone, is going to be bigger than anything that Alexander Hayne has, and he forces the block with the welcome turn because, you know, Furnace Whelp, it pumps. Right. I mean, that guy is lethal.
It was almost lethal just from Exalted. Alexander sitting at 4 life would have hit him for 3, but just 1 mountain tap later, he would have been dead. I see an Archaeomancer, and it's going to be another chump block. So he is doing everything he can to stay alive here. He's going to need to find an answer for that Furnace Whelp sooner than later.
And there are actually no more answers as it would be for a flyer in Alexander Hayne's hand. So, like, this is it. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't have anything that costs 4. He's going to have to draw something that costs 3.
I think he's going to just attack with everything. He just played a haste guy, and now he can bash with everything. Alexander has 3 blocks that he can make, but he's going to take 4 no matter what, right? Token, and a 2 is 4.
Yeah, so pretty quick game. Not really very exciting.
No, and this happens sometimes. The key here, though, is how do you bounce back? Right, I mean, you're sitting in Alexander's seat, and you feel like, you know, I didn't even get to play that game. I had a bunch of good cards. I could have battled him, but I got unlucky. I didn't hit the land drops that I needed to play. Do you keep your head together?
Come on, this is not the first time this has happened to any other players, any person in this room.
This isn't some side draft, man. Like, I understand that, like, when you're playing with your buddies and you don't hit your lands and you're like, yeah, this has happened to me before, whatever. They're playing. This is a pro point on the line for this match.
I know, but
let alone keeping your momentum going forward to hit the top 4. It's a lot more frustrating at higher stakes.
Right, but these are the 16 players who have been playing the best Magic this year.
Sure.
I'm sure they all know how to bounce back from a game like that.
Ultra Pro is the leading manufacturer of trading card, game sleeves, and deck boxes. If you're looking for official Magic 2013 portfolios, card storage boxes, deck boxes, sleeves, and playmats, Ultra Pro has you covered. For more information, visit www.wizards.com/magicmerchandise.
So actually, this is another one of those situations where things would be different if, the players didn't have their opponent's deck list.
How come?
Well, how many cards did Paulo, Vitor, Damo, Rosa see Alexander Hayne play?
4 or something like that.
Well, he would not have a very,
Yeah.
he has a good idea. He saw blue, he saw white, he saw flyers. So, you know what's going on.
Right.
But you didn't really get to see the meat of the deck. You don't know exactly what threats are in there. Definitely didn't get to see what removal spells were going on because those just didn't happen.
Yeah, it looks like Paulo just took a quick glance there to see exactly what is going on there. This is an interesting dynamic, having the deck list available to the players.
So even with the limited information of that short, non-interactive game, he has perfect sideboard knowledge. He knows exactly what cards he needs to worry about in Alexander Hayne's deck, and he knows what's the best strategy if he needs to change his strategy when he looks at his cards.
It's interesting because he does know that about the cards that Alex started with, but it looks like he's putting in 3 or 4 cards potentially here, and that could change that dynamic pretty significantly.
3 cards? Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, what are you playing around? That kind of a question.
Yeah, but, I don't know that you really change. It looks like a little bit more than 3 cards. It looks like
That's
4
what
or
I'm
5
saying.
cards.
Like, we're
so this
leaving
could
up more islands.
definitely actually. So it could be. It's not a land change, but it looks like we are taking out quite a few of the white cards and putting in
Some scroll thieves.
Yeah.
I mean, they do seem good against that ground-based attack, and so I think that's something that he's considering as well.
And off in the background from Mr. Sheldon Menery, we hear that Iyanaga takes game 1 against Luis Scott-Vargas.
Okay. We'll see if Luis can ride that sweet deck to 2 wins in a row versus Iyanaga.
So, do you think Luis's deck is so sweet, even though he lost that game, he's still having fun?
Luis always has fun when he plays Magic. He would not play anymore if he didn't. I feel very confident about that. Like, yeah, he destroys people, but I have to say, like, he really is one of the people that comes out here to play because he loves playing Magic.
So it looks like Alexander Hayne had 1 Scroll Thief in his main deck, and he looks like he brought in the other 2, possibly because they're 1/3s. And they block very well.
They do block fairly well. Now, one interesting thing about that is that normally a 1/3 or 1/4 on the ground would be a really sweet blocker versus an aggressive deck like Paulo's, but Exalted definitely changes that dynamic. All of a sudden when your creature's like a 4/2, 4/3, I mean, in battling, those 1/3s don't do as much work as you'd hope.
Right, and actually looking at Alexander's deck, it's very defensive. He has 2 main deck Kraken Hatchers. So he's planning on clogging up the ground and hitting the air.
This is a classic blue-white sky size, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I understand the power of the hatchling, of the Kraken hatchling. But, usually, you have a couple of Kraken hatchlings and maybe, Attendant Knight, first strike, put a token into play, just kind of hold the ground so that you can take the air and win the game. Use your divinations to try to get some card advantage while you have this extra time. Maybe he feels that Paulo's deck is a little bit too fast and he needs to, concentrate more on the defensive elements of the deck.
Beef up the ground.
Beef up the ground, and then, just, sacrifice a little bit in the air, just take a more controlling route.
I think that Alex said he's going to be playing first, which is no surprise. Getting a welcome turn going as soon as possible is a huge deal.
All right. And are we going to keep our 7s?
Oh, he definitely is.
We've been getting lucky. We haven't seen a lot of mulligans in our matches. Maybe we're good luck.
I give us credit for that.
Yep.
All right, so Hayne leads with an island and PV leads with a mountain. Hayne has nothing on turn 2 and just a simple pass back again. So just land go, land go, land go, and we're going to see a Windrake. No, this is an Attendant Knight.
You know what? Land go. Alexander Hayne is not sad to see that from over at Paulo Vito's side because he wants the game to go as slow as possible. And now seeing a Rummaging Goblin, that's not speeding up the clock at all.
It's not either. Now, this kind of puts the onus back on Hayne to really kind of get some pressure going. And it's interesting because if he's made a bunch of defensive choices, then that's going to be harder.
Well, look, it looks like his draw is pretty. It's a defensive draw that can take advantage of, a very slow start from Paulo, where, he has a couple of 2/2 first strikers, which are very good on defense, but it's still 3 power for 3 mana, which is great. I mean, that's what you want to see out of the card.
Yeah. Now this is a key turn here because Paulo is attempting to stabilize the board with a Canyon Minotaur, which is a 3/3, and can essentially hold off the entire assault here. If Hayne has a way to get that thing out of the way, even for a turn, it can enable his racing ability much better. If he has flyers, he could be happy to cast those as well.
Yeah, I think.
Looks like he does.
Yeah, Hayne's just going to
and
take
a
to the
fog
air.
bank. Yeah, so he's just got to take to the air. You know, it's his momentum has been halted, and it looks like PV is going to start rummaging away lands and try to get through his deck to get to the stuff that he really needs to cast here. And frankly, this board state actually benefits PV pretty significantly.
Well, even once PV gets to the point where he can mount an offense, look at all that he has to get through.
Sure.
He has to get through 2 Attendant Knights and a Fog Bank. That's pretty tough to just attack through.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to just attack through that. He's going to have to come up with some removal spells and then some really specific threats to, you know, probably a flyer and a removal spell on the Fog Bank in order to get any damage on the Alexander Hayne.
Wow, I see some sweet stuff in PV's hand. I think he has a Thundermaw Hellkite, and I think he's actually considering attacking with the Minotaur, which is really interesting because Alexander has 2/2 first strikes, which could just eat it. Boom, there's the Hellkite. Wow, one of the most powerful cards in this set. It's going to deal 1 damage and tap all of his flyers. He's going to get in for 5 damage
I
here.
believe they don't untap this next
what?
uptap.
They do.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
I
untap,
thought they didn't untap.
He's just lucky they're still alive.
I just want that dragon to be better.
Yeah, because that's
good.
what it needs.
It's not good. It just needs a little more just a little more spice.
Yeah, sure. So now the key card in this whole board state has become that Fog Bank because it's going to hold that dragon at bay.
I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. That Fog Bank is a real issue for Paulo.
He's going to have to find a way to do damage. It did have 1 damage dealt to it, but he didn't have a way to do the second.
Right, and you know, he actually expended all of his resources. He used all 5 mana in order to play that Thundermaw Hellkite.
That is correct. Okay, so if he has a way to get that thing out of the way, he's going to be able to keep the pressure up. Now, I do see a Zathrid Gorgon in hand. He's also got, which is a sweet rare. He needs 6 mana to do it. He hasn't played a land yet this turn. I don't know if he's got one.
I think he might have a swamp. If not, he at least has a Liliana Shade. So he
does not have a land. Yeah, so he could go grab one.
Looks like he's
thinking about rummaging, looking for one. I mean, the thing about the Gorgon is that it makes it so that the activated abilities of the creature that are petrified cannot be activated, but it also just gives a defender. The Fog Bank already has that. It doesn't solve that problem for him.
So we discard a Wall of Fire.
Oh, there's an interesting one.
That is a source of offense, a Tormented Soul, but it doesn't look like he's going to cast. Oh, he can still cast it.
He's going to cast it still. That's right. Ooh, Essence Scatter though.
Wow, that's quite a blow.
That's
because quite a tempo blow.
It was a big tempo blow because he was going to go get a swamp, play it, and then play a Tormented Soul, which was going to be a nice swing for him. And as it stands, the board is still stalled out. Look at that. Thundermaw Hellkite is just chomping at the bit to get in there and attack, but it is not able to because it's a foggy day outside.
It's hard to make your way over from one planeswalker to the other. you get lost really quick in the fog.
I mean, even the Hellkite does, I guess. All right, Archaeomancer is going to get back the
Essence Scatter.
The Essence Scatter. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the mana to cast it here. So, oh, there's a Searing Spear though for Paulo.
That's exactly what Paulo needed. This is what I was talking about: removal spell on the Fog Bank and a flying offensive threat.
Yep, it's a 3-turn clock as it stands. The coast is clear, and it looks like he's going to be able to do that. Now, if Alexander has like an unsummon, he can save his Fog Bank, which is pretty relevant. He would take some damage here, but it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty relevant, but you know,
it's really relevant.
It's still 5 damage you get to get in there.
Sure, but he's at 15. Like going from 15 to 10, you know, we're talking about like long-term game plan.
I'd have to imagine that Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa's black-red deck has more cards that can kill Fog Bank.
I agree. I think he's actually got a Turn to Slag in hand as well.
Decisions.
So he's deciding how he wants to use his mana. He can just Turn to Slag the Fog Bank as well. And then he can save the Searing Spear to go to the face or to kill something at instant speed later if he feels like it's necessary.
I think we're going with the Searing Spear.
I do think so too, because this way it allows him to cast the Tormented Soul and the Muck Waiter this turn if he wants.
And honestly, Paulo probably doesn't have a lot of ways to deal with Sarah Angel, which is also in Alexander Hayne's deck, which I'm assuming that he knows about.
He looked at the list. He definitely knows.
And this is a man that will
so this is not going to
be
a Muck Waiter into Tormented Soul. He's just going to play the Muck Waiter. Not sure why you wouldn't want the Tormented Soul down there. I mean, do we know if Alex has planar cleansing, and if that's something?
Alex does have planar cleansing.
He does. Okay.
He does have planar cleansing.
Now, do we know if he main decked it?
He did main deck it.
Okay, so Paulo is aware of that, and that is huge. Like, having that knowledge is such a big deal in a spot like this.
And you know, we still have a Rummaging Goblin here, so we have to. We don't have to rummage every turn, but if there's a card that we think we can improve on.
Well, it's interesting because back when we had Merfolk Looter, there was almost no downside to looting every turn. If you milled the top card of your library, it was a random card. It was completely irrelevant. It could have been a good card or a bad one. You had no reason to choice. So there was no actual downside outside of potentially decking yourself, which was a very rare occurrence.
Right. I mean, the only thing is it was more you had to make better decisions because you
do now.
Well, now it's almost a guess.
No. So look, if you loot, you draw a card, you look at it, and if it's not as good as the ones in your hand, you just throw it away.
We can have the looter discussion a little bit
I'll
later.
have the looter discussion, buddy. Don't you get me going.
We got some combat going down.
Wow, full swing out here for Alexander Hayne, and there's blocks happening. Now, Paulo's at 15. And he's only got one red mana up. The only card that is relevant here is Kindled Fury. Doesn't have that in his hand, though.
Yeah, this is actually an interesting attack from Alexander Hayne. Okay. It's almost as if there's a planar cleansing coming afterwards. Right. I didn't see what was in Alexander Hayne's hand, but you know what? The all-in attacks that don't really get you a lot of value usually means that, all the creatures are going to die.
Not everything. Yeah, no, that does make a lot of sense. I wouldn't be shocked here. He takes 4 damage.
But I don't
he
think
doesn't have it.
Yeah, that's not what's happening. So there was a lot of there's some 2/2s that attacked into 3/3s, and you know we know that block is going to happen, and there isn't a lot that blue-white can do to save a 2/2 that's attacking into a 3/3.
I mean, this is just probably Alex looking at the board state and saying, look, I'm not winning this game as it stands. So some things are going to happen. Substantial, and the first part of it is going to be to get Paulo to 11, even if it means sacrificing some of his guys.
Right, and maybe Paulo makes different blocks if he thinks that this is a pre-planar cleansing attack.
Yeah, he could throw away some guys.
Yeah. So Scroll Thief hits the board and is going to play, I guess, Chump Blocker in the near future.
He's asked how many cards he has. Just one. We know what it is. Paulo also knows what it is. The good news about that big attack is that the Rummaging Goblin is gone.
That is?
He was getting a big advantage. You know, we were just talking about the advantages of looting, and like you said, we can get into the details of that some other time. But for the main point here is that, especially in the hands of a capable master like Paulo, I mean, geez, he's going to be able to craft his hand to exactly what he needs to win the game with that.
Yeah, and usually a card like that is something that you value pretty highly, and you really don't block with your 1/1 looters, your 1/1 Rummaging Goblins, unless you think something horrible is about to happen.
That's right. So what we have here is Alexander's being dropped to 5 life, and the hand is extended. So the turn to Slate took out the Windrake, and that was going to be it. I mean, Alex, he fought hard.
He just couldn't deal with the Thundermaw Hellkite, which a lot of players are. He's not the only person who's lost the game to Thundermaw Hellkite.
No.
5/5 flyers, they get the job done.
Especially ones that have haste and get everything out of the way.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to get my 5 damage in one way or another.
Yeah. I think we have an update on Martin Yuza versus Brian Kibler on the back table.
I think
Kibler won that match.
Congratulations to Brian
Him
Kibler.
and his friend Garrick.
You know what? My buddy Garrick.
Me and my buddy.
Me and my buddy. It's a buddy that brings buddies.
Yes, he brings the whole party with him.
Maybe not the best thing if you're throwing a house party, but if we're playing a game of Magic together, that's the kind of guy. That's the kind of guy you want on your side.
Don't know if you want the beasts, but yeah, no, that's not surprising given the power of that Planeswalker. And it looks like we're going to go over and see Jun'ya Iyanaga versus Luis. Scott-Vargas.
Yeah, and I believe this is game 3 we're going to?
Yeah, it is game 3.
So we get to see Luis Scott-Vargas' sweet deck.
Yeah, his blue-red. I mean, I think it's got a couple of different plans built into it, so we're going to see which one it comes up with. I haven't actually got a chance to see Jun'ya's deck, though.
Well, blue-red has been a color combination that's been doing interesting things as far as I can look back in the history of Magic the Gathering. And probably all the red-blue decks out there were sweet in one way or another.
Yeah. Qualifiers for the next Pro Tour have begun. You could be on the big stage for Pro Tour Gate Crash, taking place February 15th through 17th, 2013 in Montreal, Quebec. For more information, visit wizards.com/PTQ. All right, so we're taking a look here at Jun'ya Iyanaga's deck. Thoughts?
I see red, I see black.
I see red and black as well. Looks fairly aggressive from what I can see here. Oh, that's actually very aggressive. Look at this one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one in a while.
Jun'ya's running a Dark Favor in his deck. That's a very aggressive card.
I mean, that's a card you play because you are attacking and you are probably not blocking.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of card that you play when you're happy to just get the 3 extra damage in and then see what happens after that.
It's basically a lightning bolt to your face.
It is. And then if it sticks around, hey, you're happy. But you wait for that opening where you can for sure get that damage in and then go. It definitely lends itself to a very aggressive deck.
Yeah, and speaking of aggressive, we got a couple of Mog Flunkies. We got some Blade Tuskboars to kind of pair up with them just to, the buddy system.
Mog Flunkies love holding hands and running into battle together. Yeah, Mog Flunky is one of the more aggressive cards around. We see Luis here. Did you see him take a big, deep breath?
Is this a hard matchup for his deck, or is he?
I don't know.
Is he just excited? Is he? Was he? Did we catch him in the tail end of a yawn? Was he?
I don't know. Maybe he's just mentally preparing himself. I mean, he's lost the mustache. He doesn't have the glasses.
I'm sad that the mustache is gone.
I'm real sad that the mustache. It's hard to battle with that. All right, so the players are taking a look at their opening hands.
Looks like a pretty good hand for...
I believe Luis is on the play here.
And we both keep it.
Both keep it. Again, that's you and I doing what we do.
You guys are welcome down there playing this game.
Yep.
Slow start. No touch
and
drop.
Is there two? There is. A walking corpse. Yeah, and a walking corpse is a fine 2-drop. Just a 2/2 for 2, and we see a Hellion Crucible.
Yep, Hellion Crucible.
That's an interesting card. That's a kind of card that's easy to overlook, but can actually generate a pretty significant advantage over the course of a game. A 4/4 is big.
Yeah, and any land that can give you some type of value when you have a surplus of land later in the game, it's just that much better. Granted, it doesn't tap for red, it doesn't tap for blue, it doesn't tap for any color, but you know what? It still taps for colorless. And a lot of your spells have colorless in the mana cost. Mind Rot. So now Luis Scott-Vargas has some decisions to make.
Yeah, the first Mind Rot is usually the easy one. The second one is where you get really killed. Did he discard
it looks
Chandra's Fury and
Chandra's
a Blade
Fury.
Tuskboar?
That looks like what he discarded.
Okay, and he has an island here. He's going to Divination. Draw 2, so he gets the cards right back again from the Mind Rot transaction.
Now, interesting, we were talking about Luis Scott-Vargas' deck as being a sweet red-blue deck. I see a Plains, I see a Pacifism, and they are not in his main deck, so, Luis Scott-Vargas is worried about something in particular.
Pacifism, I mean, going out there on a limb a little bit and splashing for a Pacifism against a deck that's running Mog Flunkies makes it that much better.
It could be Thundermaw Hellkite. We have another one. There is another Thundermaw Hellkite sighting.
All right, so Servant of Nephrox, and it's going to enable the Walking Corpse to bash for 3 here.
There's one counter on the Crucible.
I think that's a Magma Quake that he just ripped. Oh, this is going to drastically change the way that this game plays out if that was a Magma Quake, which it was.
It was Magma Quake.
He's going to attack with both, and I think he's just going to pull the trigger right now. He does.
3 damage to all creatures without flying.
And there's a 2 for 1. Now, Luis is at 15. He could have considered letting him attack with both and then trying to get him. But that's a pretty risky proposition because if Jun'ya just passes it back, then he's taking a bunch of extra damage.
Yeah, or if he plays a flyer, which, there aren't a lot. But
true. All right, so Blade Tuskboar gets in there. Nope. Searing Spear.
Hey, let's try it again.
Another one. And Luis says, okay, on end step, I'm going to put another counter on my Crewing Hellion Crucible. And it's active now.
It probably, well, I'm not going to say it's not going to become a 4/4 just yet. And I think
He can do it whenever he wants.
Red 4/4, if I am not mistaken.
It is. It is a red 4/4. It does have haste.
So that gives him a creature that can block Blade Test at instant speed. Yep, 4/4 red Hellion creature.
That is correct.
How many cards? 4.
It also has haste, but if he does it on his turn, it's not that relevant. This is a sweet deck, by the way.
I'm digging it. I like it. Little graveyard check. Mental notes.
The card, or
Oh, no. I'm just thinking. You know, I'm sure he has the deck list memorized.
Yeah.
And now he's looking at the graveyard, what's in play. He knows what's left. And there's probably a couple of key cards that he's worried about. Is that a Nephrox? In Jun'ya's hand?
I think it's a crippling blight, actually.
Oh, it's a crippling blight.
Sheldon just confirmed that is a crippling blight. All right, Thundermaw Hellkite, attack.
I think this is what Luis Scott-Vargas has that pacifism for. I don't know that he has
That
a lot
might
of
be
ways.
the case.
Yeah, I don't think he has a lot of ways to deal with the 5/5 flyer.
So it looks like Luis is probably going to just make the Hellion Crucible token here, and he does. He wants to make sure he uses his mana. Now, it does take away that land.
That's
4/4
red Hellion creature.
Yep. Oh, wow. Luis is definitely going deep here, as he would say. He's got a elixir of immortality, I believe. All right, so as you predicted, Rashad, we see the pacifism is going to take care of Thundermaw Hellkite, and it's going to be a land.
And actually, LSV does have 2 Tarnished Lights in his deck, but you may just believe that that's too slow.
Oh, so Luis actually has attacked here because he's got an answer for the boar in hand already, which he uses right here to take it down. So Luis is looking to turn the tides and start beating down.
Jun'ya still has a fire element on his hand, so he
does.
can keep some pressure going. It's really not the best defensively against the 4/4 Hellion creature, but you know, well,
now
it's a lot better. Because that was a 3/3, and not only is it a 3/3 and isn't a profitable attack, it can't block anymore.
It actually did a lot of work there because, you know, what it's done here is it said you can't attack and you can't block.
Right.
Like, that's really taking it, at least for this turn, just taking it out of contention.
Yeah, this turn it is a pacifism. You know,
Right.
barring a turn to slag or anything on the fire elemental. But as long as that fire elemental sticks around, we're not going to see that Hellion attack.
All right, Archaeomancer, what is he going to get?
He's got a lot of options.
He
There's
does.
a lot of good ones. There's divination.
The Searing Spear will not take care of the fire elemental here, so he's not in a position where he can get that and use it this turn. He's going to grab the card that actually can.
Go.
And he plays Elixir of Immortality.
I think mostly for the 5 life. I don't know that
I know he didn't main deck this card.
Right, he definitely didn't, and he doesn't have. He has 2 divinations, and he has a Archaeomancer, but I don't think that he's really in danger of decking himself the way his deck is designed. So this has to just be for the
Mind Rot.
Oh wow.
Yeah. While you were talking about decking people.
Mind Rot was destroying Lee Scott-Vargas.
Yeah. So it took out. So he does, by the way, on end step here, crack it. So you're going to see his library shuffled in. He's going to drop. He's not going to draw any cards off it. That's the thing that I personally don't like about the Elixir. But Iyanaga was able to use that Mind Rot to take the Volcanic Geyser out of Luis's hand.
But I mean, he's shuffling back in a lot of valuable cards.
But he has a lot of valuable cards in his deck already.
Yeah, it's true. But now there are more valuable cards.
I don't like that. That mentality does not apply. Although Luis rips a turn to slag and just says kill that.
Oh, one good turn deserves another.
Hey, all right, you got me on that one. You got me. All right, Augur of Bolas, he is grinding out advantage. Can he hit a spell? He does.
Chandra's Fury.
Chandra's Fury. Now, that Mogflunkies is very lonely.
He needs a buddy.
He needs a friend. Was that a Scorpion?
It looked like a Scorpion, but
Shade.
it's a Liliana Shade.
That is a perfectly fine rip here.
And
because he had the extra swamp, so what it means is that Luis can't, find that window to get him with the Chandra's Fury.
Exactly.
So Luis currently doesn't have a way to apply pressure. He's drawn a mountain.
Yep, he drew a mountain, so he has mountain Chandra's Fury.
And he just says go, so he's going to be under a vicious assault here. He is sitting at 15 though, so he could even consider just taking this for now. Jun'ya has to leave up at least a swamp, so that he can protect his shade from the Chandra's Fury.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a block here because really, Augur Bolas Oh, there's no block.
Yeah, I think you want to. I think you want to not block here.
It feels like eventually that Augur Bullets is going to step in front of something, and it's when are you going to get the most value out of that block?
Ooh, double flunkies now.
That's all you need. A couple of the twins are out there.
Yep.
And they
Nah, Luis is
can
in
do
a
it on their
very
own.
bad spot here. He could be taking 6 damage pretty easily. He is going to be looking at chump block with the auger. I didn't see what Jun'ya drew. If it's something that can get rid of the auger, then that would probably be the game. I believe Luis is sitting on Fury.
Yeah, there probably wouldn't be as much
land.
counting if that were the case. I think he's assuming.
Oh, it's a kite sail.
Is it? It's a kite sail?
Yeah.
All right, he just says, nope,
Oh.
we're just jamming in there. You're going to block this guy.
That's one.
And pump just so the shade stays alive. Pump again so the Augur Bullets dies. It's going to be 6 down for Luis Scott-Vargas. And there's a kite sail. He was doing the math to see if kite sail would be lethal.
So
and it
Luis
actually
needs to
wasn't.
draw his other, the Magma Quake again, basically, to get out of this position, as far as I can tell. I mean, the Mog Flunkies, they're considered a very aggressive creature. They also just have 3 toughness each, and Luis extends the hand to Jun'ya.
Yeah, he just flips the top card of his deck up because he knew that there was really only one card that can get him out of this, and Island wasn't it.
Yeah.
We were looking for Magma Quake, which he
was-
luckily shuffled back into this deck.
They are not.
Yeah.
Not letting you down.
You're not letting me go on that one.
Nope, never letting you go on that one.
Yeah. I tried to dodge that. I just said, yes, I acknowledge you,
no,
Rashad.
I remember as soon as you said it, I was like, yeah.
And we're back in the booth. My name is Marshall Sutcliffe. This is Rashad Miller. And, yeah, he likes elixirs of immortality. I mean, like we could, when we're on break, we'll get out the calculator and we'll do some stuff.
We're gonna crunch
the
some numbers
quality
for
of
you
your deck
guys.
goes up by 3%. I made that up. I mean, that's a total. I have no idea, but I think it's pretty low.
You know what? It's a good estimate, but I'll take 3% over 0 every time.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. So anyway, good matches. I liked that we got a chance to see Luis's deck at the end there. What did you think about it?
You know what? It looked very powerful.
I mean, he said it was sweet.
Yeah, it was basically red blue. I have a lot of instants that do great things, and I have interactions with instants. I have Augur Bolas, I have Archaeomancer. We're going to get all these spells back, and they were good spells. It was Magma Quake, Volcanic Geyser, and even just like Divinations and Searing Spirits. Being able to cast those once, it's awesome.
Yeah,
casting them again.
And we saw a lot of 2-for-1s as well with the Augur of Bolas and the Archaeomancer getting back these burn spells over and over and just grinding them out.
And then you shuffle them all back in, and we do it all over again.
All right, we are ready to head it back to the news desk. And so we're going to send it over there. When we come back, we still have another round left of M13.
Just one more.
But for now,
okay,
to the news desk.